The UK Conservative Party is conducting its own investigation into suspected illegal betting by party members on the timing of the general election. It's an embarrassing admission for the governing party in the last few days of the UK parliamentary election campaign as it tries to narrow the 20% point gap between it and the opposition Labour Party. Now, UK's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak says that his party will act on any relevant findings or information. He's also gone on to say that he is not being investigated. Stuart Smith of NDTV has more from London.
For the Conservative Party, who seem to, these days, resemble something of an organised betting ring. The sheer level of greed and stupidity that leads people right at the heart of government, who know when the election's going to be called, to put on bets, is astonishing, but perhaps sums up the self-entitled view that this Conservative Party has after 14 years in government. There's been a fifth person named this morning, but I'll bet you that's the tip of the iceberg, because all we've seen is the Betfair data, because it's available online. I wonder how many people were running into betting shops with 100 quid, 200 quid, 500 quid. This scandal will get worse. But I hear that Rishi Sunak is on the verge of doing something very decisive about it. I understand this afternoon he'll announce that we're leaving the Gambling Commission.
Two parliamentary candidates, two senior Conservative Party officials and one of the Prime Minister's close protection officers are under investigation by the UK's Gambling Commission. And at the weekend, there were reports it has expanded its investigation into alleged illegal betting by others, using inside information about the date of the general election, which had been a closely guarded secret. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was forced to deny he was under investigation and assured the press that he had not made any bets on political outcomes since becoming a lawmaker in 2015. A former Conservative cabinet minister said he believes the Prime Minister should suspend the two parliamentary candidates who are being investigated and that the government should ban politicians and party officials placing bets on politics to avoid such a situation happening again. The Labour Party leader and likely new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has suggested he wouldn't change the rules if he gets into power, claiming it's not the rules that are the problem. Reform Party leader Nigel Farage said the sheer level of greed and stupidity at the centre of government was astonishing. He got into a spat with former Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Monday. Johnson accused Nigel Farage of nauseating ahistorical drivel and more Kremlin propaganda after Farage attempted to argue that Western nations had provoked Russian President Vladimir Putin into invading Ukraine. Nigel Farage later said Boris Johnson would go down in history as the worst Prime Minister of modern times. Farage, who led the campaign to leave the European Union, blames Johnson for squandering Brexit. Although Johnson's not actively campaigning on the streets, he has been drafted in by the Conservative Party to record promotional videos for parliamentary candidates in the hope his relative popularity with voters can sway the tide, which remains firmly against the governing party with just over a week until the election. Stuart Smith, NDTV, London.